year was in October, this very same time, we went to Nova Scotia, and we went to a conference that was dedicated to the Cuban anniversary, and we were going to start with Cuba and forward with Indiana State University. So what did we learn from the past? What have we got to look forward to? And we still want to continue to build a relationship with Cuba, and I will get to that. Like Natalia, I'm very optimistic about what we've got to offer in the future. So the objectives with this presentation, and as I would like to share experiences regarding what we've done with Indiana State University and nursing travel. I'd like to talk to you guys about what we did with our collaboration with South Korea and what we still continue to do. We currently, without this year, we go to Ireland and England. That's been extremely successful. We go to Peru, and that's been very, very interesting as well. And the future with Cuba is something that we're really looking forward to. And hopefully I can inspire you all and your colleagues and the audience with global travel. Okay, so the first thing I ever had any opportunity to do was partner with social work, and that was phenomenal. I've got a professor, Dr. Robin Luger, that introduced me to Hanil, South Korea. It's a Christian university. She has been going over there for the last 10 to 20 years. She takes faculty-led social workers over there, and when the social work department found out that we had a nursing program as well, they decided to incorporate our nurses with that. So the first time we ever went over there, we took social workers and nurses, and it was quite an opportunity. The area that we went to was Seoul, but we also went to the area of Hanil University, and the missionaries had been there years and years ago after the war, after the Korean War, and they've really helped reconstruct and set up. So there were up-to-date hospitals, there were beautiful, beautiful medical facilities. They offered a lot of cutting-edge treatments, such as gambling facilities. I guess they had a gambling problem at one time, but they were very proud to show us their clean, well-organized, nice medical facilities, all the while having that natural history village in the middle of the town as well. So we really got to partner a lot and see a lot with them. Like I said, it is a Christian university, Hanil is, so we did go to their worship service, and they incorporated everything very nicely. Okay, so this is a picture of Seoul. On the last part of our tour, we did go to Seoul, and we got to look around at some of the museums and how nicely Seoul was laid out. I want to say for this excursion, depending on how many people go to the travel, I want to say it's about $2,500 for the student, and out of that money, you can pay for 2 professors. So in 2017, we took social workers, and in 2018, we took social workers and nurses. Spring break, that was March. It was a 14-hour flight. So of course, when we got there, our students were very time adjusted. They didn't know whether it was day or night. So I would say it took us at least 2 days to get over the flight lag. We journaled, and we made it a part of a class in social work. So they had to present to them. That was a very good experience for our students. They got the experience of a lifetime, and like they had said earlier, it was about $2,500 for housing, food, and flight. Is we expect our nurses to be resilient, but what do you think about our students? Do you think that they were resilient when they went over there? Well, let me tell you what, I was a lot more resilient than our students, and they're about, a third of my age. So they had headaches, they had stomach aches. It was hard for them to get used to the food. They did enjoy the market where they got to wear the traditional clothing, so they got their pictures taken, but it was very hard on them. So it wasn't quite what we had anticipated, but yet everyone had a great time.
That's interesting. The pictures look so beautiful. I would never think that.
Oh yeah. Well, they're out of their element. Sometimes some of these people have never traveled,
Right.
across the ocean. So Hanel was the university that we stayed at while we were traveling. They made very nice arrangements for us. We were able to present and do present our research as well, and we demonstrated SBIRT, and they have that problem with let's say substance abuse as well. So SBIRT is screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment. So we had a we had some work that we were doing with research with an SBIRT grant. So we were telling them what to look for and how to early intervene with people that had substance abuse problems. And they were very interested in knowing that. So another group, so we have several groups that travel. Another group had made arrangements to go to Cusco, Peru. Peru. They had a lot of immunizations that they had to take, and they also had to take medicine to get used to the altitude. Of course, this is very beautiful there. This is really what it looks like. And this summer, they had planned to go back. Well, we're hoping next summer. They have taken 2 trips over there. Peru, the summer of 2020, was supposed to be 10 students. That would have been about $2,900. And you can see that there's Machu Picchu in the background. And a lot of times they will take the medicine so that they get used to the elevation. Okay, another picture. Let me go through that again. Very beautiful. Okay, I'm having trouble with my next picture. Okay, here we go. Very interesting. We have a lot of people there that like women's health. So the history of the Peruvian healthcare hasn't always been, let's just say, in a woman's best interest. The history of the government practices towards women's healthcare in the past, between 1996 and 2000, under the President's Family Planning Program, we had like 272,000 women and 22,000 men had forced sterilization. It was performed by physicians who were under the orders of the Ministry of Health. Victims at that time had reported that they were attacked in their homes, tied down, and forced into surgery, and some had sterilization performed during mandatory C-section. Lack of health areas of the country exacerbated this. Physicians must do residency in rural areas for 1 year prior to being able to work anywhere else in the healthcare, and this is the main provider for the villages and farms. Otherwise, the people must travel by foot or car to the city hospital. However, that is not being done now, but everybody wanted to know how it was in the past. There's a beautiful city of Cusco. Okay, and there's Machu Picchu, and of course they saw a lot of alpacas and llamas and whatnot. I want to say that when we went to Peru, they provided the Peru schools with a lot of different clothing. They provided them with kind of a party that they got to go to, and it was very relaxed over there. They had several good contacts that they had made with the Peruvian locals. Another trip that we've gone to wasn't this summer, but summer before, was the cost of Europe. It was 3,000 for students in 2018. We took 18 students. So you can see I've got the picture of Big Ben, and they go to the Florence Nightingale Museum. For those of you that have ever been to the Florence Nightingale Museum, it's got a lot of interesting artifacts. It's got Florence Nightingale's jewelry. It's got things from that period. It's got a taxidermy dog inside, but it's quite nice. And here are the picture of some of the original costumes, some of the uniforms, and just artifacts out of her life. She seemed to travel a lot at one time. Okay, another thing that they get to do when they're on that same trip is they go to Trinity University in Dublin, and they see the Book of Kells. So they get to see the Book of Kells, and that's written by the monks about, correlated with the Bible. So it's under a glass plate and all of that. So Trinity University will actually do a small summer class that they get credit for. And if you've ever been to Ireland, it's very easy to get around and very easy to understand. And they like this a lot. So this is the Trinity College Library. You can see it's massive and very old. Very, very good tourist spot. Okay, so more recently, we were intrigued with Cuba. Why would we be intrigued with Cuba? It's not as commercialized. They tried to really restore what they have. They're very conscientious about their ecosystem and about their natural resources, and they're very proud of their country because most of them are highly educated. So more recently, ISU has decided to focus on traveling to Cuba. And how we did that is we went to Nova Scotia to a university there, and we went to a Cuban conference hoping, and it was planning that we would go there by this summer. Well, obviously that didn't happen, but I'm optimistic that we'll make it in the future. Okay, so Cuba looks like an alligator, doesn't it? I've got several facts to tell you about Cuba, several that I didn't know, but Cuba would be less expensive for the students and of course very much closer. They welcome us. We would go to Havana, to their major university in Havana, but they're a proud people in the fact that they want to collaborate with us and do research with us, not for us to come there and do research. So they want us to know that they offer a lot, and they're very welcoming. They're a very passionate people. Okay, so this is a picture of Cuba here. Why would we travel to Cuba? We'd like to expose our nurses to other cultures. RNs learn from each other, and we want to promote global health care. I know our nurses are really into traveling. They really don't know what traveling is, but they think that they would be into it. So I try to tell them, no matter where they go in the world, somebody's going to need them. So very interesting. Travel considerations, like I told you, Cuba is less expensive regarding airfare. It's closer. Cuba would expose our future RNs to primitive, aggressive, and radically different system with an abundance of enthusiastic people to share experiences. Cuba has natural beauty. Cuba is excited to share ideas and inspire our students. And Cuba produces several physicians and medical personnel to care for people in their country. Okay, the interesting facts about Cuba is Cuba has more education for their people than almost anywhere else in the world. They produce more than any place else in the world. Their life expectancy is good, it's robust, 78 years. They have many natural resources, and a lot of the country would be considered Catholic. Okay, we work with Cuba with our system called MEDIC in Cuba. Here's a MEDIC journal that they produce. And I did a little research on MEDIC, US and Cuba. Founded in 1997, MEDIC is a nonprofit organization. It's based in Oakland, California, and it's worked to promote US-Cuba health collaboration. So they do have that English journal, it's MEDIC Review. So Cuba and other scholars from Global South whose work address health equity, they're insightful, and they have trips to Cuba for US health and policy makers. I've understood that maybe it's not on the front burner, but being optimistic that I am, I hope that we can get back with our relations and continue forward, because sometimes you get setbacks and then you just go forward. So I'm very optimistic about that. Latin American School of Medicine. So it also assists US students and graduates of Havana. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit, let me lower this a little bit about my Cuban facts. Literacy rate in Cuba is 99.8%, so it's one of the highest in the world. There's 2 countries in the world where Coca-Cola can be bought or sold, or cannot be bought or sold, and that is in Cuba and North Korea. Did not know that. Cubans were not allowed to own cell phones until 2008. Did you know that the US pays Cuba $4,000 a year to lease Guantanamo Bay Naval Occupation, but Cuba has not accepted the payment since 1959. So that's as long as I've been alive. That's 61 years. The island of Cuba resembles a crocodile, and it's referred to as El Crocodilo. So there's a monetary system with two circulates. It's the Cuban peso and convertible peso. Okay, when we think of Cuba, we don't know that it's roughly the size of Tennessee or Virginia. It's got 38,000 miles of roadway, half are unpaved. Cuban cigars are the finest in the world. Of all the Caribbean, the Cuban is the largest. Okay, it's got a distance of 48 miles to the east. Haiti is the nearest neighboring country, and Jamaica is 87 miles to the south. It produces sugar cane, and that's a key role for their economy, as well as a natural rice, fruits, bananas. Dominoes is the national game of Cuba. Voting is mandatory. It's got the highest doctor-to-patient ratio in the world. For those of you that like rum, Bacardi rum was originally manufactured in Cuba and